How are you doing? This is David W. Williams, also known as Diamond Dave. And what we're going to go into is our Laws of Game episode, how the Tinder swindler used old cons on modern women. I want to give you a disclaimer. This is not red pill content. If you're part of the red pill crowd or you're part of the, the Alpha, Omega, Sega, Genesis, Nintendo crowd, that's not what this is about, right? I want you to really understand that. This is going to be game for this particular platform. I know other people like to do what they do, and I'm happy for them to do that. However, that's what this is about. So in using the term modern women, I'm not using a term associated with any of these online communities. What I'm talking about is the fact that we're talking about women that are currently living in the present day. So he's not using old cons on women that lived in 1945 because this is not 1945. He also can't be using it on women that lived in 2050 because this is not 2050. We're in 2022. So therefore, he's using an older con on the women that currently exist in the present day. So we want to go ahead and give those disclaimers because I want to make sure that if you listen to this video, you're getting the best use of your time. And if you're looking for, the red pill, the I don't like women, I want to see women get browbeated type content. We don't do that. And I will probably tell you to go do that in the real world and deal with what comes with that. Don't look for that on the internet because you're kind of wasting your time. But the metaverse is coming, so you'll be able to get, that desire field there. And so what we're really going to go into a lot is desire and what people look to get satisfied. And that's one of the reasons why this particular situation took place. Now, I want people to understand we're taking this off the documentary. I don't know this guy. I haven't gotten his side of the story, but we're taking the documentary on face value because, I think he should be able to give his side of the story to kind of rebut what these people are saying about him. So we're not convicting this man of anything because we don't do that. We're going off what the documentary has presented to us, because based on the actual narrative of the documentary, the cons he was using were very old cons. However, because a lot of people have not really been around anything, they don't really understand how these cons actually work. And so that's what we're going to kind of break down. Now, the first thing that we want to talk about is the Cleopatra Experience. And this is a very, very old persuasion tactic, or some people call confidence tactic. And it was utilized by a woman named Cleopatra. And, we're not going to go into a history lesson because I don't feel like arguing with people over that. However, Cleopatra used what I would call the experience to seduce men. She understood that my appeal, my allure has to be a lot deeper than sex. And this is something that a lot of women miss in what we would call the modern era. But this has been going on probably before I was even born. Many women, right, really believe their appeal is the fact that they got a vagina. The problem is that if every woman has a vagina, how is that your appeal now? Right? Because every woman has a vagina. So how is the vagina your appeal? Therefore, what Cleopatra understood, and because she had been taught certain things because of the region that she comes out of, is that your appeal has to be more than just the fact that you have a vagina. Because a man that has access to that, he's going to need more than that for you to persuade him. So what she created was an experience. So when she was dealing with Caesar, when she was dealing with Mark Antony, she created an experience around her. Therefore, it was more than just the sex. And this is very, very powerful because I want you to understand something. Most people believe they live boring lives. And even if you think somebody's life is really exciting, if it's something they deal with on a regular basis, it can become boring to them. Therefore, what they're looking for is a getaway. They're looking for an experience that's going to be totally different than what they're currently dealing with at that present time. That's what a lot of people don't understand. And if you have the ability to deliver that to people, they will reward you, right, with pretty much whatever you ask. Because you have the ability to take them away from their current situation and put them in a new situation, right? Even if it's only for a short period of time. And Cleopatra really mastered the ability of doing that. And so that's what we now call, right, people that's actually been laced in this, call it the Cleopatra Experience. Now we go into something called the damsel in distress. Now this is a very old school traditional persuasion tactic, right? And what it does is it takes the woman and puts her in trouble and asks people to come rescue her. And it has to deal with a lot of socialization. There was a movie I was watching years ago, and the guy was in the military. I believe he was in the army, and he was in a unit with women, but they were they were getting trained to do a mission. And he talked about the fact that They knew that he had been socialized as a man to try to save women. And what they wanted to find out is that if you and this woman get captured, are you going to try to save her, or are you going to try to complete the mission? Because they realize that your enemy will use against you that you've been socialized to save women. And you've been socialized to believe that that makes you masculine because you're saving a woman. And your enemy will use that against you because they know that you've been socialized to believe that. So you will neglect, or you will take away from the mission trying to save the woman that's in trouble, right? However, in our normal society, our civilian society, many men have been conditioned to believe, right, that you should save women, right? They just been conditioned to believe that. They believe that's their position, and it makes them feel good to do it, right? And so we get a lot of negative narratives to that. However, in the mainstream society, I'm talking about the internet, I'm talking about in the real world, many men have been socialized to believe, right, that if a woman is in distress, they should look to save her, okay? And whether that works out for them and it doesn't work out for them, it's just really a button that can be pushed on men. Now let's go a little bit deeper to the Cleopatra experience, because we talked about before, most people believe they live boring lives. So in looking at this particular illustration, this is an example. This is not a real life scenario of what we would call the girlfriend experience or the escort. And in a lot of scenarios, the escort's job is to provide an experience, not just to have sex. Is sex part of it? Yes, but she's there to provide an experience. Okay, so you have a lot of men that are higher net worth. They're looking to associate with a woman that can provide an experience for them that they don't get in their marriage. That's why they're there. They're not there to get the exact same thing they get from their wife. They're there to get something different. Why? Because what they're getting from their wife has become routine and mundane to them. And they're more, I don't know how to use the proper word, but they feel more comfortable doing things with this girlfriend who's really an escort, who's really a prostitute, right? Than they would feel suggesting that to their wife, right? Because they're in a contract with this woman, but she makes it feel like it's natural. But really, you're in a contract, right? If you're not paying, she's not there. But it's her job to make it feel natural. That's part of her persuasion tactic. And if she's really, really good at that, she can get paid a lot of money from these guys. However, this is not just something that happens on the high end, it also happens on the low end. You got a lot of guys that work 9 to 5s, they got wives, they got kids, they got mortgages, and they go out onto the street and they look for streetwalkers, and they want to have sex with them. And, a lot of times this is very risky behavior. You're going out on the street, you're pulling a chick, you're putting her in your car that you really don't know her like that. You're going to some little rat trap hotel to have sex inside this little small room. You don't know who's going to be outside of that room when you come out. You don't know who's going to come into that room while you're in there, right? But it's that danger, right? It's that riskiness which creates the experience that these guys are looking for. So you get old Joe Schmo that works a 9 to 5, or you get a guy who's a retiree and he gets engaged in these type of scenarios. Why? Because it ain't just about the sex. The sex might last 15 minutes. It's the whole experience that these guys are going through, right? And you got to really understand this. You even see this with a lot of these guys that go overseas. It's that experience that they're buying into. It's not just the sex, because like I said, the sex is going to last 15 minutes. These women are not getting paid to sit with you for 2 hours, right? They do a volume-based business. Their job is to do numbers. You understand me? But it's that experience, right, that people are going for. Now, the damsel in distress in the real world, I know a lot of women would tell me if my car breaks down on the side of the road, all I do is just sit outside my car, and men will pull over to stop to try to help me. Why? Because we talked about before, many men have been socialized to try to help women when they're in distress. They just been socialized that way. Okay. Now, what's interesting about this Tinder guy is he turned this over and he utilized persuasion tactics, or some people call cons, that historically were leveraged by women against men. And he used them as a man and leveraged them against women. Now, why was he able to do that? Because we're in the modern era. We've blurred lines over these past years as to how men and women should conduct themselves. Now, that's what some people wanted. So I'm not mad at it, because people wanted the blurring of the lines. So now we're in this era where the lines have been blurred. There's a lot of overlap. So then we got to take everything that comes with that. And I'm going to show you in this particular presentation what I'm talking about. So now here's the play, right? Here's the play that the Tinder swindler, whatever we're calling this guy's name, here's the play that he ran on these women. Okay, so let's get into the play. So what he did was he presented himself as a very wealthy and successful man, right? And when he was reaching out to those women, what he would eventually do is drop in the fact that he was the son of a billionaire. Now, when looking at that picture, when I first saw it, I could tell it was photoshopped, right? It's obviously photoshopped, okay? However, they bought it. He convinced them that he's the son of, a top diamond guy, okay? And he's the son of a billionaire. This guy in the Forbes picture got a net worth of a little over $1 billion. And he convinced women that he's the son, and he also was in the diamond business, right? So part of his presentation is that I'm very wealthy, I'm very successful, I come from a wealthy family, my father's a very successful man, and I'm in the diamond industry. Okay, so he's setting the stage first. You got to understand this. You got to set the stage, right? So part of the con first is you got to get people to buy into the reality that you're trying to create around yourself. Okay, bam.